Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have a Start Collecting Warhammer Age of Sigmar video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the brand new Maggotkin of Nurgle Vanguard box set. Vanguard box sets are a new thing coming to Warhammer Age of Sigmar, much in the same way that we have combat patrols now instead of Star Collectings for Warhammer 40k. Vanguard boxes are a slightly bigger box than your average Star Collecting box, getting you generally an extra unit and costing a little bit more of a price point of entry, but you do get a fully playable force in these box sets, which is great. So a fully playable army straight out the way is amazing. Today's video, as we've mentioned, we're going to look at the Maggotkin of Nurgle one, and we're going to go through all the units that come inside the box, what we get from all these units, what they sort of give us on the table. We'll then look at how we can expand upon said battle box as well, and finally we'll finish off with a little sample army list for you at the end of the video. And so, to start with, let's talk about what we get inside this battle box. And first of all, there are two hero options inside the battle box, but we'll start with the one that's actually a hero model, and that is the Spoilpox Scrivener. This is a Plague Bearer, a Nurgle Demon hero, and he's got some cool abilities. He can effectively buff up a Plague Bearer unit near him with a bunch of different effects, from +1 attack to some other abilities as well, just being a really useful tool to play alongside the Plague Bearers, which in the new Maggotkin of Nurgle Battle Tome have received a significant buff, I reckon. They've now got 2 wounds apiece, which means they can be really resilient. 2 wounds on models that have a 5+ ward, thanks to the army-wide disgustingly resilient ability, which gives everyone a 5+ ward, is really useful. This will allow you just to have a good solid battle line unit to hold objectives with, or even screen out and stutter your opponent's assault. Next, we have the Plague Bearers, mortal allies, which are the Putrid Blight Kings. This is another one of the battle line options inside the box set. So you've got 2 different battle lines, one for your mortal demons and one for your mortals. And the Blight Kings, their big thing is they have a lot of attacks. They don't have the exploding attacks now, but the big thing with lots of attacks means they get multiple use out of the diseased weapons and a higher chance of creating extra disease points from their attacks in close combat. Every time a diseased weapon from a Nurgle unit rolls a 6 to hit, you get to put an extra disease counter on said unit, so this can be really helpful with those Putrid Blight Kings. The last kit inside the box set is, of course, the Pascal Blight Lords. These are effectively Putrid Blight Kings on the giant plague drones. And their big thing, first of all, they've got lots of attacks, so they can get out a bunch of diseased weapon attacks, which is hopefully going to get you some extra disease points. Obviously, on the Rotflies as well, gives you some nice speed to your Nurgle force, something Nurgle generally is lacking now with no other abilities. Their fast movement on the Pascal Blight Lords definitely helps the Nurgle units around the table, just getting you a little bit of extra control. The cool thing about this kit is you could build a second character from this unit if you want. You can build a character variation from this kit, and then you're allowed to take one single Pascal Blight Lord as a unit for every one of that character you include in your army. What's cool, though, in particular sub-factions, everything in this box, bar obviously the characters, becomes battle line, which is really nice. So you could definitely have 3 battle line and a character inside this box set if you so wished, playing in the Drowned Men sub-faction. With that all said, let's look at how we can expand upon this box set. And so, to expand upon the box set, well, first of all, I recommend grabbing a Nurgle Wizard. You've got a lot of cool things in that initial box set, but you do not have a Wizard, and I think a Rotbringer Sorcerer could be a great addition to your force. He's got some really cool effects that he can play around with Endless Spell, where every time he casts an Endless Spell, you get to have that Endless Spell count as a Nurgle unit for distributing disease points. This makes particular Endless Spells within the army, especially ones that can move with multiple bases, things like the Geminids of Ulgish, extra useful, as you can cast them and then have 2 models roaming around giving extra disease points out to your opponent. Also, other things setting up like traps with disease points, things like the Soul Snare Shackles or even the Prismatic Palisade can be really good ways to get a bunch of units taking some extra disease points potentially, which is pretty solid. And of course, these are cast in the hero phase, so if you can get these out in the hero phase, you're going to get lots of these onto your opponent if you can set them up near units that are in combat, because obviously you get one at the end of the movement phase and then get one in the combat phase as well. So you can definitely create some extra disease points with a Rotbringer Sorcerer. Next, we have Plague Drones. Now, you do get most of the mortal stuff in there for your units. You've got your 2 main mortal units in the box set, in your Pascal Blight Lords and Putrid Blight Kings, but you've also got Plague Bearers that can mount on the Rotflies as well, so Plague Drones are an interesting option. They generally carry out a couple more wounds thanks to being a 3 model unit rather than a 2 model unit of the Pascal Blightlords, and for this they get some extra attacks as well. While they might not be as high quality of fighters as the Pascal Blightlords, they do get more attacks out of these models, so it's definitely a choice to make between the two units on what you'd like to include. Then we've got the Maggotkin. I don't think any characters inside the Maggotkin of Nurgle got a better buff than the Maggotkin. They've all become really useful, whether that is Morbidex Twiceborn or any of the other Maggotkins, they're all really solid. They're fantastic looking miniatures as well, which is great to see them on the table again, and definitely some worthwhile pickups for your Maggotkin of Nurgle force. But lastly, where would you be without Nurgle, without the Maggotkin now? The Maggotkin was the man who sent Alariel packing in the time before Age of Sigmar to conquer the realm of Ghyran, and now he's got the profile to match. At 700 points, he is an awfully big expenditure of your points total, but he does make up for it. He's a wizard on top of being a really powerful monster hero. There's a 4-up save, he's got some inbuilt healing, he's obviously got disgustingly resilient. He's got a lot of things going for him, the Maggotkin now, and can really hit out some decent damage. He will put a smack into a ton of units now. Generally, either getting more attacks to be more consistent or getting better stats on said attacks to get them more consistent, the Maggotkin just is a way more consistent of a monster than it ever was in the old book, and so now is really useful. Whether or not he's worth the 700 points you're paying for him, you're going to have to play some games and find out, and we will too on the channel, but I think he is a worthwhile investment. He's the amazing centerpiece for the army, so it's always great to be able to include these centerpieces in your force, and he's better than ever right now. Alrighty, and so here we have a little sample army list for you for the Maggotkin of Nurgle. We're going to be playing in the Drowned Men sub-faction. This is going to allow our Pascal Blightlords to get a pre-game move to really help us either control some objectives at the start of the game that are otherwise outside our territory, or potentially even just get them into a better position, swap them around position-wise to better get them where we want them to be. Mortal Realm, Ghyran, because it just makes sense for Nurgle, and then Grand Strategy, we've gone with Hold the Line, because in this sub-faction we also get the Blightlords to be Battle Line, so this means you're pretty much having to kill all our units for us to lose our Grand Strategy. A Triumph, because we are 25 points under the 1,000 point limit, means we're going to get a +1 to wound potentially, and for our leader we've gone with the Rotbringer Sorcerer. It's going to be our general, and it's going to have the Infernal Conduit command trait. This means that we're going to get some extra contagion points, some summoning points from this hero, and then we've got the Split Horn Helm on them to give them a 4-up Disgustingly Resilient rather than a 5-up. Blades of Putrefaction allows us to inflict the disease points from disease weapons on a 5 or 6 rather than just a 6, so definitely a solid little loadout for our Rotbringer Sorcerer. The Spoilpox Scrivener also sits in there as our secondary hero, and he'll work fantastic alongside the Plague Bearers, who will be joining the Putrid Blight Kings and Pascal Blightlords as our other battle line units. Another spell we've thrown in is the Geminids of Ulgish. I like the ability of having the 2 points, but you could definitely play around with which endless spell you like to include here. I really do think there's some definite play in that endless spell ability with the Rotbringer Sorcerer to have there to really just play around with how many disease points you can generate. Battle Regiment here allows us to wrap in this entire army up into a 1-drop force, which means we're going to get, to be able to dictate who's going to go first in the game, and 73 wounds in a 1-drop army is really solid at 1,000 points. This is a pretty solid little Nurgle list. If you're going to pick up this and you have been looking at the brand new Nurgle stuff, let us know what you're thinking of doing, what you want to do with your brand new Nurgle army. Love to hear from everyone in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And while you're at it, drop us a comment below in the comment section and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members, and you can go help support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members as well and get access to, if you're a YouTube member, some of our awesome little gifts or get choice of what we're going to do for content on the channel. You can follow those links in the description of the video to Patreon and YouTube members, but a shout out to them all, our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, and James Cater. And to our YouTube members as well, a special shout out to Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Aronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, and Broken Chef. Lastly, I'd like to give a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchvox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel that you see here, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing work and the background work for our Discord server. Thank you both very much for all your help. That's it for today though, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.